We don't have it here.
All right, we're good, thank you.
Mi español es cowboy. La quiero español, no. All right.
All right. Ready? Yeah.
Howdy. I'm the U.S. Marshal of the Southern District, T. Michael O'Connor. And today we're at a scene to where we have had what's called a collateral, a lead from East Texas in the Plano area, an outstanding warrant of aggravated assault, sexual assault of a child, which was back in September of 2024. It led us by information to this location in this general area. So working with East Texas in the Southern District of Texas, we have come to this location through means of information to come and address and try to apprehend the individual to which the outstanding warrant was about. As they approached the building to go in to the building, the subject was sitting there and has been here, from what we hear, for some time on a daily basis. And he stood up. The officers requested that he comply, and he did not comply. They repeatedly tried to comply and even deployed a taser, to which was of no effect. The individual then raised an object in the direction of the officer that were inside, and the officers from the outside saw that this was a threat to those inside, and they fired upon the individual. He still was in a manner of not complying, and yet getting up to where, he may have continued the threat, and they deployed a canine to try to, come stop and try to end the threat because of a public place for sure. You want to quickly put the person in place. The dog had him, and they were able for him to get down, and they were able to apprehend him and cuff him. At this time, he is in one of the local hospitals being attended to. From best of our knowledge, there are not life-threatening wounds, but we'll follow through later as to what, in fact, his condition is. Normally, when the U.S. Marshals and other agencies have a shooting incident, this is part of our task force, and I think I've explained to some of y'all over the years, our task force are U.S. Marshals and local officers because of the vast capability and information of a general and local area. So there was a Galveston PD officer and also a Pasadena police officer that was part of the team. So normally what we do under these circumstances, we call another agency to assist. So right now we have the Texas Rangers on the scene, and they take over the crime scene and go in depth and start interviewing witnesses and officers that were on the scene to come to some final conclusion as to what happened and how it happened. So that's where we are now. As far as me answering any questions, I'll do the best I can, but you've been there and done that many times. I may not able to because it's under investigation. So I'll open it up to those of you that are.
Are you able to say what the object was that was pointed at?
It's still under investigation, but we know it was in a manner to which it alerted the deputies to fire upon the individual.
Do you have a name of the suspect?
Yes, what's his name?
Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson, and the warrant is out of the Plano area or Collin County, which is the Dallas area, North Dallas area.
Can you give us approximate age and then,
We don't have that details at the time, but we'll provide it to you a little more to you. But apparently this has had some national interest back in September, so you may want to check of this case. of, sexual assault, aggravated sexual assault of a child.
How many agencies were involved?
Well, primary, the U.S. Marshal Service, due to what we call collateral from the East Texas Marshal Service, they give us a direct connect to us, and then we become the primary agency. So as far as the involvement today, it was U.S. Marshals Task Force, which has, I mentioned to you, other officers that are part of the team. It's very beneficial because of the general area. You have officers from the area, so they know, the area well enough to assist the marshals in this situation. And of course, they all responded simultaneously when we knew the subject was in fact on location at this place.
How busy was the McDonald's when all this went down?
Fortunately, it was not busy. There was one lady that happened to be in the bathroom, and our guys went in tactically and had her, go out protected out of the threat area and get her clear of the area.
Can you reiterate what you were saying about how the officer inside was confronting the suspect, but the officer outside is the one who fired the shot?
Yes, what happened was the officers were on the outside, and then the officer from the inside had already made contact with him. And as they were standing there, they deployed a taser, less than lethal, to try to take him, in that manner. He did not comply. This is where he began to raise a bag of some sort, but he raised it in a manner to which it was definitely regarded as a threat. And so the officers outside responded immediately to make sure that the threat wasn't to the extent of, endangering anybody else, and especially the deputies that were inside.
And the K-9 is the one who made the final takedown?
Yes, because he still didn't comply even after he'd been shot at. And so they kept telling him, to comply, get down, typical compliance, so that they could approach him, and he wouldn't do it. And so as a precaution, they sent the dog in, to which the dog did, make contact with him, and then he complied immediately upon that moment.
The suspect's name is Robert Johnson, is that correct?
Correct.
And he was a warrant out of Plano?
Out of Collin County, which I believe is the Plano area, but it's Collin County, on aggravated assault, sexual assault of a child.
Is he the third by chance? Did this happen in July? We're just trying to narrow it.
This was September of 2024, where the warrant was issued and they apprehended him and arrested him at that time. Then he was out on bond, and they absconded from that point.
Oh, is he African American?
Okay, a little bit further information. Y'all know this. Sometimes things come in and we try to be as informative as we can, and things seem to add. And I was just advised that he was on home confinement with the ankle monitor.
In this area?
No, in the Dallas area. When he was in Dallas, he absconded here to Houston area, but he cut his ankle monitor off. And the intentions with that, if they cut the monitor off, and he absconded to this general area of Houston, thinking that, he could, be mixed in with the general public and not necessarily be found.
Is he suspect African American?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Is he Robert Johnson III?
Well, I don't have the exact, I can give you that name there.
Do you know how many shots were fired?
Well, let her finish her question.
I was just wondering how did you guys track him here? And can you talk a little bit more about, did he live right around here? He was staying right around here? He was at McDonald's every day? Talk more about that.
Well, quite frankly, we're not going to really tell you how we do things. That's an investigative aspect of our capabilities, but it was good enough for us to be able to locate him here in this area.
He frequented his McDonald's often?
Yes. Well, especially in the public. You know, if a single occupancy, then you don't necessarily, all precaution, but it's officer safety and public safety. And being at a restaurant or McDonald's, I don't know if they want me to mention the name, but here, it's really critical to rapidly go in and minimize the effort and again the tension and take care of it and get it out immediately. Now, I've talked to the employees there. You would think, obviously, that they're upset, but we assured them that, things are done and taken care of, and we made sure right off, like a lady that was there, we made sure that if they needed any medical attention, that we would definitely provide that, and they all advised us that they are not in a concern of that medical issue.
How many shots were fired total?
That's going to be a continued part of the investigation.
There were shots fired from inside and outside?
Only from the outside.
Only from the outside.
The deputies were trying to tase him in the inside, and it was ineffective. And this is when he raised an object in their direction, and where the deputies responded from the exterior and fired upon him.
Was he hit?
Yes, he was hit, and he was transported to the hospital, local hospital. And that's pretty much the story. Now, what we can do for you, I can get one of our people to hablar español if y'all still interested in anything further.
That's the last thing. A couple weeks ago, this turned out really tragic for these task force teams. Talk a little bit about just how grateful you are that this didn't end worse than it did.
Well, you're always grateful. I mean, you never wish this on anyone, rather the citizens, but there are predators, as I mentioned in the previous incident, that there is evil in this world and there are predators. And yes, I'm especially appreciative that no injuries to our personnel that participates or the general public. But yet they are dedicated to continue to pursue evil. And predators like this, just remember what I told you, what his charges were. So we can't have that. We're going to pursue them with every attitude that we can, an aggressive nature, to make sure justice comes forth.
And just sort of, you can't tell us how you were tipped off even being here for a number of days or anything like that.
Again, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, you can't tell us like how you guys were tipped off if he was here repetitively for a number of days, or you guys had
I bet you could guess it and probably have a good idea of how this happens.
Well, I can't report on guesses, so I was hoping
You can? No, I well understand, but at this time, it's part of the investigative nature that we need to keep that with the Ranger Service to complete their investigation. But, I mean, take the credit that we found him from afar. And so you have to give some credit to East Texas, to which they were in that, Dallas Metroplex. So obviously there was information that they received that they were able to forward to us, to where it allowed us to go forward and locate the individual.
Did a McDonald's employee tip you guys off?
I'm sorry?
Did a McDonald's employee?
Again, that's still going to be a part of the investigation.
Did he ever approach any children?
Best our knowledge, he has not. I'm sure he was trying to lay low because of what had transpired and that he had absconded from the East Texas Dallas Metroplex. That help y'all? I don't know if you're going to break down now. We'll try to get someone to talk to y'all so you can carry it forward. I don't think you want my kind of Spanish. We'll be all broken up, but if you stay and we have in a little bit, as it's still working, if we have further information, I'll be happy to come back and talk to y'all then. Okay, we done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank y'all.